Uh, so we have directions. We have an Excel table, and we have PDFs of what it should look like along the way. So what's the first thing I do here?
Pull up the directions.
Did you pull up the directions?
Yes.
Okay, so what's the first thing we do?
I'll go to the website.
Well, I already did the first part for you.
So you basically you're at the step where you already have the Excel. You have to rank the top 5 from the lowest 5.
So we want to find the high and low, the top 5 and bottom 5 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 categories. Except this one is people with less than 9th grade dropout, and this one is 9th to 12th, no diploma. So we have to add these two together. First thing, let's get rid of the first row because it's going to confuse us. And let's give this better titles, like state poverty percent, PCI, less than 9th grade, no diploma, BA degree, grad degree. Okay, now we have good titles for headings for our columns, and we can find the high and low for each of these categories, for each of these variables, I should call them. So let's add these two together. So to add them together, let's make a new column. And does anybody know how to add two columns in Excel?
Well, yeah, usually I do the sum.
Well, yeah, I guess you could do some. You could go like this.
Yeah, you do the rows. Well,
don't do that, though. You could go like this, and then you could grab this one and drag it down. But that really only works if you're adding two columns. Don't do that. Do this column equals this column plus this column. Now, why we say to do that is because we're going to have to learn how to do much more complicated things in Excel. Did anybody take a class called CGC 2518, data analysis?
I did.
Didn't you learn how to do Excel in this class?
More or less.
More or less.
Yeah, basically.
Only one person took this class. It's like seemed like the best option for this category of your UCC. Okay, when you apply for a job, you say where you went to school and you say your experience, and then you say your skills. What skills do you have? Proficient in what? Microsoft. Do you know what being proficient in Microsoft means? Knowing the functions of Excel. Knowing how to copy paste a document to submit as a paper in Word is not knowing Microsoft. Knowing how to do the functions in Excel, doing pivot tables, doing adding and subtracting, being able to make visuals in Excel, which I think you kind of did in that class CGS 2518. Did anybody take this second category for math? Well, you have to at some point.
I took the more basic one, which was CGS 1060.
Is that on here? That's not on here.
That's just computer competency.
Right. No, but this, you have to take a group 2 mathematics at some point while you're at FIU. Anyway,
Sorry, I have a question. Why would you not use the sum?
because we're going to have to do a lot more complicated things than just the sum. So learn how to do the functions.
Well, yeah, that's more functions, but that's a separate.
I mean, like I said, I just did the sum, but I said don't do that because this is the first assignment we're doing. This is a lot easier. We're getting comfortable with using Excel. Learn how to use the functions, like being able to write a little script in here, even if it's this column plus this column equals this column. But we're going to have to turn things into percents at some point, which means multiplying by 100, moving a decimal point for all of them. You can't do that in sum.
But you would just use a separate function.
So how many functions do you want to do to create one answer?
You would then just do an algebraic equation within the function. bar.
Yeah. I mean,
Couldn't you
I don't
also
know what you mean.
do the first row, sum them, and then drop down, drag?
Yeah,
that's what I just did.
Oh, okay.
So you grab the little square at the bottom here.
But you can still use a sum function, right?
Yeah, you could use the sum function. You totally could use the sum function. I'm saying we're going to, it's like the next assignment, do a lot more than just adding 2 columns together. So don't use the sum function because it's not just, sum is just adding. We're going to do more than just add. I mean, now, which way did I go? So funny. This computer, you go this way to go down, this way to go up to go down. Anyway, the problem here, though, like if I were to get rid of these 2 now, this can't be read any longer. So we have to keep this, but get rid of these. These are confusing us. So if we select it, copy it, and then paste it right where it is. Oh, wait, do that again. We select it, copy it, and then there's options for pasting. We can paste just as a value. You see all these options in pasting? Like this one might come up at some point, how to invert it, you transpose it, how to copy it just as it is, how to copy it as a value, how to copy those formulas, etc. There's a lot of different ways to copy and paste. Now we can get rid of these. So this is so I added another sheet to the bottom. And because I'm going to, one by one, go through each column and find the top and bottom, the top 5 and bottom 5 for each of these variables. So if I hit the sort key here, it asks me, do I want to expand this to all of the columns or just this one? Well, if I only do it to this one, then it sorted this one, but now this data does not correlate to it's not corresponding to the other data. So now I just messed up that whole column. So if I sort it and expand it to the whole selection, that means everything changes. And now we have all the columns are arranged by just this poverty column. And we want the top 5 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I think in the directions, I also said get rid of Puerto Rico.
And states that repeat.
We will get the states to repeat, but for right now, we got to get rid of Puerto Rico. Why do we want to get rid of Puerto Rico? It's not a state. It's an unfair comparison. So to compare Puerto Rican poverty to U.S. to the rest of the states is not a fair comparison. To compare Puerto Rico in any of these categories. Delete Puerto Rico. I also say get rid of D.C. D.C. is also not a state. D.C., if you notice, had the highest graduate degree, but also the highest dropout rate and the highest poverty. It had the highest for everything, the good and the bad. Because it's not a state. It has all of the things that are good in the city, but also it does not have the rural poverty. When we say poverty, what does that mean? You talk about poverty, I'm sure. Yes.
It's a description of your level of income.
Right. So do you know what that number is? Poverty line. For example, the poverty line for a family of 4 is 25,000. 48 states and DC. 12,000 would be just one person. If it's a family of 2, 16,000. If you're a single parent making 16,000, making 17,000, you're not in poverty. Did you know that?
Because you're making
Above the poverty line.
the income difference.
Yeah, I'm like saying that sounds kind of crazy though, doesn't it?
It is.
If you're a family of 2 making 17,000, then that's not poverty. So it's not fair to compare DC. Cities do not operate the same way that rural places operate, and Mississippi does not operate the same way that a place like DC or San Francisco operates. But we have these national numbers. What is PCI? As social scientists, these are our these are not acronyms. These are just initials. I looked up. I use the word acronym wrong all the
I think
time.
it deals with population.
PCI, per capita income. As social scientists, these are the terms that we use all the time. Like if you had a job in social sciences, you would be just spitting out these initials constantly. One thing that kind of bothers me sometimes, and I hear the students in criminal justice, they spit out these acronyms and initials nonstop of all these different agencies, like childhood criminal behavior, CCB, like they just use CCB in their sentence, and I'm like. And I see these students because I'm actually a GIS professor, and they all take GIS with me. And I always ask them to slow down. Like, what? They just use these initials all the time. All of them do. From about their sophomore year on, they just are in the habit. It's part of their language. And it boggles my mind that our students don't use the initials and acronyms that social sciences do. PCI is per capita income. What is GDP?
Gross domestic product.
What's that mean? They're going to talk about it a lot for the next 12 months, 14 months. What does that mean, the gross domestic product?
The value of the economy.
It's a measurement in the economy. It's all the goods and services that are traded. I think we put a lot of stock or a lot of value in, say, using that as something, the GDP. But most of us don't really know too much of what it is. So I'm just going through all of these and sorting them from high to low. And the last one, grad degree. Are you surprised at how few people have a grad degree?
Yeah.
Yeah? A lot of people in here are going to get a grad degree? That's not funny. This is people's hopes and dreams, however, guys. Okay, let me also insert. Insert two. Actually, let me wait to do that. Let me get rid of the repeats first. So if I just sort, now that we have the sheet 2, we have all of the high and lows. There's going to be repeats because Alaska was, what was Alaska? Probably low for diploma and high for PCI maybe? So the same data is in there twice. We only need it once. Arkansas, oof, it's in there a lot of times. And it's probably all the bad things. Colorado, Connecticut got 3 of the highs probably in good stuff. Look how much Kentucky's in there. Maryland and Massachusetts are both 3 times. Mississippi, every time. It's the high for dropout, the low for income, the low for grad degree, the low for bachelor's degree. And we should end up with 23. Did anybody just do this? Nobody just did this. That's good.
So we need a laptop for this class.
You don't need a laptop, but you definitely need to use a computer.
Oh, so we could do this at home
Yeah.
as soon as we have.
I'm recording this.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm recording this. You can do it whenever you want to do it, but do it before Sunday. But like we do a lot of it in class. I record it. Students think they're so damn smart, and they say, "Oh, he's going to record it. I'm not going to go." You should go because you probably want to see it, then go back and review it one more time, and then do it one more time. But it's not as if it takes all the time in the world. If we do it for an hour in class, and then you could do it for an hour, it'd probably take, if you did it for an hour in class and you kind of went through it, and then just, what I would suggest, because it's not the best quality, I can't even get that computer to work, so this screen is not really good at all. But if you had the directions in front of you, you put on earphones and you just played what we're doing now, and you just hit pause along the way to just be like, wait, where was I? Pause, and we catch up. And so whatever, if this takes 1 hour, then if you did it on your own, maybe it takes an hour and 20 minutes. And that's it. And we're going to do the same thing for the next one. All right, so I got all of those states now. Let's make the headings. Am I going in the right order of what the directions say? Okay. So you even printed out directions. That was good. That, if you print out the directions, and you have a computer in front of you, and then you have it playing also the audio, because the video is not going to help so much. And I would also say, what's your name in the front?
Catherine.
Catherine. These are not the laws and rules of how you put together a table for social sciences. This is just how I would do it for this example, for this assignment. There are other ways. You could totally do some, but I said don't do that because it would work for this, but it's not going to work for the next one. You could do it some people in here have real jobs, not like me. And anybody with a job in an office is going to be a whole lot better at Excel than I am. Because I use Excel. I went hard with Excel for like a week in the beginning of the summer when I was putting together this data for this research project. I just don't do it the same way people in offices use Excel. They use Excel all day long. So some people work in a law office or like in an accounting office or insurance office, and they know how to do things in Excel that I just tell them come to the front of the room and you just do it because I'm at a loss here. So we're going to grab the headings as well as the United States as our middle ground there. Let's just take a look for 1 second at Florida. All right, let's put this in notice. Florida, percent in poverty, 16.7%. And we've decided that the poverty line is kind of a fictitious line that, like, probably we should be looking at something different than that. 16%, though, is how many people? 1 in 6? 1 in 6.5? Oh, where's my calculator? How do I do this? Yes, it's 1 in 6 people. But that poverty line is not a very accurate measure. The per capita income, $26,499 per capita income. Is that what you expect to make? Is that what you're in college for? Probably the first year, make 26. Yeah. No diploma, 13.5%. I would think that's a little bit higher. I don't know how they ended up with that. 17% with a bachelor's degree. But one thing is a little bit of a mixed calculation in here is this one, the bachelor's degree, you actually have to add the grad degree also. Because you got to have a bachelor's degree to have a grad degree. So it's more like, what's that add up to? 26.7, about 27% have a bachelor's degree. 1 in 4 with a bachelor's degree. That feel accurate? Miami is also not the whole state of Florida. So another thing in here is that PCI is probably not the measure you want to know to see what the average person is making. This is per capita income. Take all of the incomes and all the people and you divide it. And you end up with the income per person. So that includes a lot of people that don't work, a lot of people who just are not even in your category. What do you remember back in when would you have seen mean, median, mode, range? Middle school. Okay. So we're going to use, by saying the top 5 and bottom 5 and what the total for the U.S. is, we're doing a range. So we're using the range. In here we have PCI, but what would be a better measure, do you think, for finding out what the income is? Where you measure with the income? Are you about what that normal Floridian is, above or below?
I think every city should be adequate.
Yeah. No, I mean, of like, would you use median? Would you use mode? Would you use average? They always say median.
Or the mean.
The mean is what they do.
The mean is the average.
It's the
And
mode
those
would be
billionaires mess it up. And the people making minimum wage, which is probably, well, I should hope, though, I'm always a little bit surprised at how many students actually work a job that's around minimum wage, less than $10 an hour. I'm like, wow, we should be making more money than that. But it's also hard to find jobs in Florida. So the mean is your average that takes all of the money and divides it up, but a little bit differently than per capita income would. The median, what's the median? The what? Yes. The middle number. I would say the one that is harder to measure and we don't use and you probably forgot about, the mode is probably the best one. Because the mode, if you just took, like, this is 0 to 10, this is 10 to 20, this is, oh, man, I just thought I was talking about October. $20K, how about that? We keep it 20K through 30K. And you do this on and on and on. And so, like, it just puts a dot, say, in each one every time a person is in this. So the box with the most dots would be where most people are. And with mode, you get a much better sense of what incomes are. What do you think incomes are? A lot of you are seniors, going to be graduating soon, getting that first job in your career path. 45K. That's
30,000.
30,000. 45K to do what?
That's like a, right? Is that a teacher's salary? Not,
You want to be a
not
teacher?
university? I think it's lower than 45K.
I mean, it's they cannot. It's a flat rate. you get hired at a certain amount. So that is something you can actually just look up. Not an estimate, because that takes, because you get base salary, 41.
That says the minimum?
Yeah, that it's not the minimum. It's that's where you start at. Everybody starts at the same thing though, unless you came in with a master's degree. And so all that master's degree gets you an extra $3,100 a year. Dollars, USD, we're talking. 3,100. That's like a nice vacation, huh? So what is the next step here? We're almost done. We got everything cleaned up in the table. I think this is around step 2 when the table is all clean.
You have to make a table
Huh?
with the data.
You gotta make a table with the data?
Yeah.
What do
You
you
have to
mean?
go to the website.
In the past, and well, you now have to take 2 methods classes, so that's the good part. But in the past, I've had students go and have to get the data on their own, and that just proved frustrating, and students like really hated me for that. Like really, in them, hated me. And then, and I was like, well, you know what? I guess, you got everything in life figured out. Don't ever learn how to get data. I think on the first day we decided if you're going to get a job in social sciences, you have to know how to get data and use the data to get some outcomes. I think in the first sentence of my explanation of this class, somewhere in, where are we? Somewhere in here. And all these good words. Anybody read these words here? What our job as a social scientist is to take complicated data and make it comprehensible for people who don't study this. So if it's a matter of issues in Miami-Dade schools, people are going to be making decisions, policy decisions, based on what social scientists who study this say. Now, you might not be a social scientist who is working on schools, but whatever it is going to be something to do with the population, and there is a budget for it, and you need to be able to explain, maybe not to the mayor or a council member or the director, but along that chain of people leading up to there, what is happening and what needs more attention. Because they're not going to really understand a data table. So all of that stuff from the beginning, when it looked like this, and it was pure chaos, or all that stuff of you need to get this stuff, be able to go to the census website or be able to conduct a survey to put all this data together and then make sense of it. And then, even when it's in this format, when it's cleaned up, your average elected official can't understand this and is not going to read a long report. And I've been saying this for long before Donald Trump was the president, because I've always thought he was a very simple person with way too much money and power, long before he was the president. If you were applying for a job, imagine Donald Trump was reading your resume. How bored would he get with you explaining all of this dumb stuff you do? Get to the point. If you had to give a presentation to Donald Trump and it had data about schools, how bored would he get in the middle of it? You need to be able to have it clear, visuals in there, seeing like, oh, before it was nothing, now it's all messed up. We need more money to go to this. We need more money for English as a second language teachers. I know they call it something else now. It's not ESOL. It's like some other. That's an acronym. Do you know the difference between acronym and initials? I do it wrong all the time. That's why I had to correct myself. Acronym is actually the initials that you can pronounce as a word. Like SEPA is an acronym. FBI is not. That's just initials. Anyway, we need to be able to explain this clearly. Things like ESL teachers. There's all of these immigrants that came to this population. We need this many students are there. This many teachers are there. We need this many. It's proven with this track record that this many ESL teachers per foreign language student. So he's having like all of that language and right. Nobody's going to read all that reports. You have it with graphs. 2005 it looked like this. 2019 it looks like this. We need more. That's what we do as social scientists. So right now, though, I think we needed to make this a formatted table. I highlighted the ones that we need. Conditioning and formatting. No, format as a table. And in here, go. No. I don't like that. Let's get this one. What's this do? No, I don't like that one either. Oh, I like this one, I think. Okay, now it's a formatted table. So now we got a formatted table. I just highlighted all of the things that needed to be in there and then clicked a format. Now, you can also do things like, I think it might be better to just go in and, no, not that color one. I meant, this one. Yeah, you can do it customized, is what I was getting at. The screen looks so much worse up there than it does over here. After we've had a formatted table, what is the next step?
Write the analysis.
And what are we doing? Ooh, this way. So, how are we going to write that?
So for each of the 5 variables, right? Or
Yes. So, first paragraph is the methods. And the methods, we say, I tell you where we got the data from. It's in that paragraph, the first long page of, this is 2014 5-year estimates of census. We've got data for these variables of poverty, percent, PCI, and the 3 education things. We have, we've gotten rid of Puerto Rico and DC because those are not states. And we are going to look at a range and what is the top 5 and bottom 5 for each of these variables, and how does that compare to what the total is in the U.S. So then go through each one of these and say, for poverty, the high is the highest poverty is these states with corresponding numbers. The lows are these states with corresponding numbers. The U.S. average is this number. Do the same thing for PCI, diploma, bachelor's degree, and grad degree. Now, this is a really redundant thing, but this is what a analysis would be if you didn't have any other skills of analysis. I would guess nobody in here knows how to use Stata if nobody knows how to use Excel. All of those programs, I think in the first class, we talked about programs that social scientists use for analyzing data. Right? We mentioned this. I am the GIS professor in our department. And not this class and not next class, but the one after. I'm probably going to explain what GIS is, and I'm probably going to explain what data means a little bit more. But for now, we're just going to do these assignments. Let me states to let's just say, in ArcGIS, this is the data that's behind the scenes of the map, the data that goes into making the map look the certain way that you want it to look, or to analyze in a certain way that you want to analyze. Now, doesn't that look like an Excel sheet? Well, an Excel sheet is just a spreadsheet. It just happens to be the best program for a spreadsheet. So all of these programs interchange with Excel. Not just ArcGIS, not just Stata, but SPSS, even R, like every program is going, they'll have their own spreadsheet, but you're going to know, anybody who uses them, when they want to manipulate the data, they take it out of the program, manipulate it in Excel, and then bring it back in. Because Excel is the industry standard. No other way to put it. It is what everybody uses. So we're going to go through all of this stuff, say all that stuff, the paragraphs about the highs and the lows. What we're not going to do is chime in with our 2 cents, because when you read a paper or a research report, you are only going to chime in with what is in here. So don't go saying about Mississippi things that you want to say about Mississippi, because it's not in here. All we know about Mississippi is the poverty rate, the PCI, and the 3 education things. So don't say it's because of bad policy, a legacy of whatever, because that's not in the data. So we can't really even draw any conclusions. You don't even know what the question is. But when you read a paper and you read the methods and data part, it's kind of boring. It is just describing what happened in this data. When you read a paper, there will be a table. Then there'll be like some graphics explained, like it's supposed to be making it easier to understand this table. And then when you read that section, the data analysis section, all it is describing what your eyes are supposed to be looking at in this table. And I think I say that exact thing right here in the, somewhere in here. Maybe I say it later on in class. So, we all clear? So, turn it in on Sunday, and then open up the next one on Monday, and let's get started for Tuesday. I'm going to put this award-winning cinematography on Canvas.
Question?
Yes.
How'd you send it?
I'm going to put a Dropbox on.
So you want the